The Greenbone security scanner is normally available in Kali Linux distributions. It is a group of programs that will allow you to scan your systems or networks to look for vulnerabilities or any type of security issue. Normally, you will find the Greenbone software built into the Kali Linux. They've actually taken the source code and they've customized it for their own Kali Linux installation. But we're going to look at taking that source code and compiling it separately so that you can put it on a separate physical machine or you can install it on a VM. Now, when you go to the Kali Linux page, they list a bunch of features and a bunch of tools that you can also use to scan your networks and your servers for security issues. But we don't want all of these tools. We just want the one tool that scans and gives you a list of vulnerabilities that it finds, which is the Greenbone Security Assistant. There is a company called Greenbone, and you can check this link here. Make sure you hit English in the upper right. And they list some of the services that they offer. They offer hardware with the scanner already compiled. They offer virtual machines also with it already compiled. I don't see it on the list here, but one of the things they also provide is the enterprise security feeds. What we're going to do is install the community version of the Greenbone scanner where the source code is freely available, and you have access to some security feeds which will update you on all the NBTs and all the CVs that are available. Greenbone has a service that you can purchase where you get access to an enterprise feed. Basically, that means that if there's a security issue found today, most likely within the next few hours, they will have it in that feed available for you to download. When you're running with just the community edition, there's really no way of telling how long it will take for new security issues to appear in those feeds. Now, Greenbone also has a GitHub site where all of their software is fully available. And all of these packages here make up the actual Greenbone scanner. So you have to compile all these packages except for this Python GVM. I don't see it listed there. And that will give you what you need for the scanner. On their page here, they list some documentation that you can use to actually compile it. And the version that they're listing instructions here is for 21.04. And normally when I find some custom instructions, is I will save this whole page. And I will say that it is the documentation for 21.04. And I will save that. So that if they change it or they upgrade to a later version, I will have a reference for it. Also, they are using Debian 11. They're asking you to have a version of Debian stable to compile it following these instructions. I tried it with Ubuntu, and there was a package that was missing, and the package was not available for Ubuntu. It is only available under Debian, and I believe there were some RPMs for it, but there was no Ubuntu package. So we're going to go down this list and we're going to compile and install the Greenbone Source Edition. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Prerequisites. And one of the first things that you'll notice on this screen here They give you some informational text, and they give you a gray box that they want you to cut and paste into your Debian system. So what you have to do is on the far right of each one of these boxes, there's a box there. You hit copy, and it'll copy it in. And then you can paste it into your Debian machine. So there's a bunch of instructions here. All of them have the same thing: a gray box, copy, gray box, some instructions. And that copy is always in the upper right-hand corner. So what I've done is I've gone through that list and I've made a copy of everything that they do in those instructions. And I've broken it down into sections, and I'm going to go through each one of those sections and let you see how it's done. Now, there are certain parts of it where it's trying to compile, and I'm going to paste in the compile step, and then I'm going to let that compile step finish just to make sure I don't have any errors. If I do come across any errors, I have to stop, figure out what that error is, and then continue on. So I'm going to have my notes off to the left here, like this. And I've got a Debian system here. This is, I just loaded this one. It's version 11. It's got the latest updates on it. The user that you are going to install as has to have sudo rights on the machine. As you can see, this user has all sudo rights on this machine, so they can do the actual install. Looking through the documentation, the only thing I saw that you need beforehand is GPG, which is not installed by default. So you would need to do a sudo apt install GPG. And then you go ahead and let the GPG install. That's used to verify the source code that you're going to be downloading. Now, to start out, there's an initial setup that you go through. So I'm going to cut and paste this. Now, I looked at the documentation, and there were a few things that you had to do before the setup. Let's get back up there. All right, you had to take the current user that you're logged in as, and you have to add that user to a group called GVM. Now, in their instructions, once they add that user to the group, they SU to that user so that the group permissions apply. But I had problems where something failed in the steps down below, and then it exited out, and I had to log back in. Well, when it exits out, it removes all of these exports that are done as you're going down through the instructions. So I modified the instructions for this part right here. Instead of doing an SU, I completely log out of the system and then log back in. That way the group membership applies. So we're going to do the first two steps, which is adding the GVM user and adding the current user to the GVM group. And I'm going to log out and log right back in. If I can type the right password. And when I do the ID, I can see that I am a member of the GVM group here. All right, so the next step is to install and build some dependencies and then download the source code. Well, download the Greenbone security key and then verify that key. I'm going to take the next step and paste it in. We're setting the path and we're adding user local sbin to the path. We're creating a source directory. In my case, I added a directory. I'm going to install it into Greenbone 21.4.4 just so I have a copy of it. And it wants to install some dependencies. The build essentials are all the compilers that you'll need. And these are some of the other dependencies that you need here. Down at the bottom here, it's going to go grab the GPG key for Greenbone, and we're going to modify the trust on it in the next step. So I type in my sudo password. And it goes out and it downloads all the needed packages and it installs them. All right, that step is completed. And we want to go in. The next step says we need to modify the trust on the GPG key. So we use this GPG command to edit that key. And we type in the word trust. And these are options. We want to select option number 5, which means we trust this key ultimately. Option 5 and hit enter. And yes, we want ultimate trust. All right, and now we're ready. The first portion of the install is installing the gvm-libs. We're going to install the prerequisites. We're going to download the source, and we're going to verify the source. We're going to paste that in. These are all the prerequisites. This is where we're downloading the source, and then we're going to do a verify to make sure that the software is. All right, that portion is complete. And if we go and look, we can see down here, we've got a good signature from Greenbone Security. That means that most likely the software is what it says it is. So the next step is to do a extract and build on that software that we just downloaded. It uses CMake to do that, and then it does a make. So we're hoping that these commands that we're pasting in, that everything goes fine and there's no errors. In this case, it worked fine. It says building, making, and there's no errors. So you can go on to the next step, which is the actual install. And you cut and copy that and paste it right in. It's just running a make, and then it's using sudo to copy the files from my local directory over to the user local directory. And that completes with no errors. So that means everything installed fine. This next set of instructions is for gvmd. We're going to install the prereqs that it needs. And then we're going to go down and we're going to download the source. And we're going to verify the source. All right, that took a long time. It completed. And you can look down and you can see that we do have a good signature from Greenbone, which means the source code that I downloaded is okay. So we're going to go to the next step, which is to extract that source and compile. And it's using cmake, and then it's going to do a make for that. The gvmd is the one that takes the longest to get all the prerequisites installed, but the other ones should go fairly fast. So it completed with no errors. So we need to go and install it. And again, I'm skipping that remove step because I want to leave the source and the compiled code there. I'm going to make a copy and back it up. And now we go to the Greenbone Security Assistant. It apparently relies on Node.js, and it uses the yarn package that it's going to install here. It's going to download the source, and we're going to verify it. All right, we've downloaded the source. We need to verify the source. And there we are again with the good signature from Greenbone Community Feed. So we need to go ahead and go with the extract and build options. Now this one uses the yarn package to do the actual, I guess you could say, compiling or configuring. I'm hoping that this doesn't error out, because if it does, I don't know anything about yarn. So here we go. All right, it says React scripts not found, command failed. What does that mean? Okay, I fixed the error that came up, but I didn't find a solution for it. What I did was I went back to the place where the file was installed, which is this source dir GSA version. So if I copy that, well, let me go up here so you can see it. Something wasn't right in this folder, so I went up a folder. Then I removed that whole GSA folder. then went back to where my instructions left off, where I did a tar and it extracted the files. So let me go back to my note and I'll do a tar and I'll unextract the files. Is here. And I just went on with the instructions like they were before. The next step was to change into that directory, remove the build directory if it's there, run the yarn pkg, and then run the yarn pkg build. And after rerunning the commands, everything ran. It did not have any type of error. Here's where it errored out before on this React scripts. It said it couldn't find it. So just deleting the folders and rerunning the command seemed to fix whatever error was being caused. We've done that. We need to do an install. Clear that. Run the install. That does the install. And so now we can move on to the next step. The next step is installing gsad, which is the web interface that you see when you connect to the security. I'm going to do the same as before, install the prerequisites, download the source, and verify the source. And you can see here we have a good signature. A good signature from the Greenbone Community feed once again. So we can go ahead and extract and build. This this build uses CMake and make. So we're going to hit enter and let it go ahead. And that one's done, no errors found. We can go ahead and install it. Copy, install. All right, it's installed and we can clear and go on to the next step. The next step is installing openvas-smb, which is some type of application that it uses for SMB. I'm going to just do a cut and paste and install the prereqs, download the source code, and then we're going to verify the source code. All right, we've got the source code there, and we've got a good signature. Once again, since we've got that good signature, we can go ahead and extract and install. Extract and compile. You want to compile it. It's using CMake and make. All right, that's complete. We'll go ahead and do the install. The install is just copying files from my directory over to user local. The next step is to install the openvas scanner. We're going to install the prereqs, download the source, and verify the source. Here are some of the prereqs. And there's the source, and there's the command to verify the source. All right, that's done. We go and look at it. We've got a good signature again from the feed. We want to go ahead and do the extract and build options. And it's using CMake and make also. All right, that's done. We go and look at it. We've got a good signature again from the feed. We want to go ahead and do the extract and build options. And it's using CMake and make also. All right, that was pretty quick. So we'll come back and we'll do the install. And no errors, so the install is complete. Now we will install the ospd-openvas. Paste those commands in. It has some Python prerequisites. It's going to download some source and we'll verify it. All right, got our source. Go down, we've got a good signature from Greenbone, so we're okay. I'm going to go ahead with the extract and build. Extract, build. This is there. Now this one uses Python to do its install, so I hope there's no problem here. We go ahead and do that Python. And it says successfully installed, and it's okay, so we don't worry about it. We still have to install these, so there's one little command you have to add. And we will put it there, and it copies those files in. Now there's a package here called gvm-tools. And there's an option to install it for the user, and there's an option to install it for everyone. So we're going to do both of those since that was what was in the instructions. We're going to install some of the Python things here, and using pip, we're going to install the gvm-tools. It's going to first install it in the user's home directory, and then it's going to install it and user local. So that went good as long as you don't have any errors. And that completes most of the source code compiling and installing. Now we'll move on to the system setup. All right, a part of the system setup is they're installing the Redis server, REDIS. They're enabling the service, and they're starting it at boot. They're adding the GVM user to the Redis group. They're adjusting some permissions and giving the GVM user and group permissions to the directories listed. They're changing permissions on some folders here. So we're going to go on and we're going to hit enter there, let it do its thing. And it completed. So we will go on to the next step. Now the next step, if you've never used sudo or set up sudo, it's kind of confusing. Let me go down to it here. All right, setting up sudo here. You would think that you're supposed to cut and paste this whole thing, but you're not. You just need this bottom part. You don't even need the first line. The first line is just a comment. So you want to copy that. And then you want to run vi sudo, but you have to run it as root. So I'm going to sudo vi sudo. That's going to let you make changes to the sudoers file. And all you have to do is go to the very bottom and paste that in. This says that anyone in the GVM group can run all commands as sudo with no password, as long as they're running the command from this user local sbn-openvas. So I'll Control X to save that. Save Y for yes. Enter. And it does that. The vi sudo. And now here's the part that really messed me up several times. It's doing the Postgres database installation portion. If you try to just cut and paste the Postgres part, at some point in here, I believe it's here, it's going to dump you out and it screws up everything. So what I do is I just do this part manually. I just do it line by line. So I'll do a sudo apt install -y pos-sql. Now that command downloads the Postgres. That command downloads Postgres, installs it, and it starts it. Now, for some reason here, their documentation says to go and start it again. But I'm going to show you that it's already started. You do that with the status command. Instead of doing start, you do status. And you see that it's active and running. So there's no need to start it again. So let's go on. That's been started. Again, I'm doing this manually because I had so many problems where it dumped me out. This next command is sudo, and as the user Postgres, I want to run a bash prompt. And you see my prompt changed here. This means I'm in as the user Postgres. So I have to be careful of how many exits I type. So the next command creates the Postgres user called gvm, and they then create a database called gvmd, and they make gvm the owner of that database. Okay, the next command says exit, so I'll say exit. And my prompt has changed, so I'm back in as the regular user. Okay, they come right back and they go back in as the Postgres user. Running bash again. So my prompt has changed there, so I'm the Postgres user. And they want to run PSQL and tell it to connect to the gvmd database. So I'll do that. Now my prompt has changed. That means I'm in a Postgres database from the command line. So that's the wrong v-d. So I'm in the gvmd database and it's blank. There's no tables or anything in it. They want to create a DBA rule, a DBA role with super user rights. Okay, so we're going to do that. It got a slash from the previous command, so I just typed it again, and it says create role. And then they want to make the GVM user a DBA. So that command makes the DBA user, I'm sorry, the GVM user a member of the DBA role. Okay. And there's two other commands here to create extensions, and we'll copy those in. And you're done. Now here's the part where the exits come in. So right now we are at the Postgres prompt. So we want to quit to get out of there. So we're still in as Postgres. We want to type exit one time. And now we are out and we are back in as the user Jay Beasley. Okay. So if I tried to paste all that in before, it would dump me out and disconnect me, and I would lose all the variables that I've set before. So that's why I do the Postgres part manually. And we will continue on. There's an option here to create an admin user. And we're going to just use password 1 as our test. This is just for our lab. And it says it should come back with something that notifies you that the user has been created. All right, it says user created here. So if you go back to the documentation, I did this option. I created the user with a password. If you don't get the response back that says user created, you need to go look in the gvmd.log file and try to determine why it didn't complete. And we have to set the feed import owner. So we're going to paste that in. All right, and now here's the part that takes a while. We have to sync all the MBTs with this command, and then sync all the others with these commands down here. Now this could take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes or longer, depending on your system. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make this full screen. I'm going to clear. I'm going to paste in. I'm going to do all 4 commands and just let it run and then come back when it's finished. All right, the sync is complete. So we're going to go on to the next step, which is setting up the system services. These are systemd services. So we're going to copy this first one. This is for the ospd-openvas. We're going to accept all the defaults and hit enter. It's done. We're going to do, then we're going to copy it to etc systemd system. And we're going to come down next for the gvmd service. I'm going to put that all in one command. I'm going to put the creation and copying all in one. So I'm going to copy all that. So we're going to do the one for the gvmd service. Enter. We're going to do the one for the gsad service, which is the GUI interface that you see. Do a copy. Now the difference here is we're going to change this line that says listen. We're going to change it to 0.0.0. That means that instead of just listening only on localhost, it'll listen on all interfaces. And we're going to hit enter there. Now, since we've copied our system files to etc systemd system, we have to tell systemd that it needs to go in and re-look at those folders and read in the new information. So we use that command system control daemon-reload. That'll have systemd go look in this folder, see if there's anything new or anything that's changed, and it'll reload it. All right, so now we want to enable all those services at startup. So the command is system control enable and then the name of the service. So we'll hit enter. And then we want to start all those services. I'm going to paste them all in and have them start one after the other. And you have to, the first time it starts, it's going to come up, it's going to connect to the database, see that the database is empty. It's going to create the database. It's then going to copy all that information that we synced. It's going to put that information into the database. So even though you hit enter and it looks like it's done, it's not done. It's still doing stuff. So if I do a 1 to show the processors, what is the other command? I don't want to see anything idle. Okay. So I've got a processor. I've got 2 processors on this VM, and the services are starting up. And you see stuff with the Redis server. You see stuff with Postgres. So don't be fooled because it says 90% idle or something here. It's doing stuff in the background. You have to wait until it just says idle here, and it'll be 98 to 99%. And you won't see it changing for these wait states over here or for the system or user. So just let it sit there for a good 10, 20 minutes and see how it's done. I've been away for about 30 minutes now, and it looks like things have settled down here. I still see something going on with the Redis server, but let me minimize this. Let's go to our browser. And we will connect to port 9392, which is the port that the GVM runs on. And that box was gvm-YouTube on 9392. We get our login, we go in as admin. We made the password 1. Invalid. Let's make sure I typed it right. Password 1. There we go. I'll save that. And we log in, and you see we've got nothing on our dashboard yet. We need to look at NVTs. No, we need to look at our feed status. And we can see we've got 2 of the feeds, 3 of the feeds, but 1 is missing. Which one is that? We've got GVM data. Let's see what else. We've got cert. We need SCAP and NVT. So apparently it didn't get something that it needs. So let's rerun the one for NVT. And this is the one that takes a while. All right, we've waited at least 35 minutes, and we finally got a screen that says that all of our feeds are current. The one at the bottom will always say too old because they only do it like once a year or something like that. But now if I go back to my dashboard screen, I can see that it's populating the CVEs over here, and it populates some of the NVTs also. So that's basically all you have to do to get the Greenbone Security Assistant source code installed. All right, we went through a long process of installing the source code for the Greenbone Security Assistant. Basically, all I did was cut and paste following their instructions. I did have one error. We tried to look up that error and I couldn't find a fix for it. So I just wiped out the directory where the files were installed and I repasted the commands, and everything seemed to work after that. The other issue I had was with the syncing. When I ran the initial sync, I pasted all 4 commands in at the same time, and something must have went wrong because when I got to the end and I looked at the GUI interface, all of my feeds were not up to date. So all I did was I reran the feed commands that were missing. That took about 35 minutes, and everything came up and started working correctly. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on the next video.